Hey there everybody, and welcome back to Sasquatch Speaks. This is Sasquatch, otherwise known as Gavisas, welcoming you all once again to this dark little corner of the internet, which is oh so affectionately referred to as our own. On today's episode, as promised a long time ago, and more recently just yesterday, I am going to be relating to you the infamous gold brick story, which comes from a dark and mysterious corner of my past. And by my past, I mean like several generations removed, so I don't really know all the exact details. But the lore, as it has been passed down to me, is as such. Now, to get a little bit of background, there's a picture which hangs in my house, which goes back 7 generations to... a really old guy. He was a railroad engineer during the 1850s, 1860s, maybe even back as far as the 1840s. All we know for sure about him is first that he worked with the railroad, and that somehow or another he lived long enough for photography to be invented for him to get his picture taken. After him, there's his son, and he was a quite astute lawyer in his day, and he was very, very well respected, and he's someone who I look on very fondly in my past history, not ever having had the opportunity to even come close to meeting him. He's someone I tend to hold in a very high esteem. After him is his son, named after the first man on that picture. I'm not going to say the name, but it's we're just not going to say the name, but. He's a person back in the Sasquatch lineage, and he's like the great-great-great-granddaddy Sasquatch, and so yeah, he was a banker. He owned a bank back in those Depression times. And by Depression times, I mean like going into them and then like starting to come out of them. And in that time frame, because of a great lack of faith in banks, people were just like, "Hey, I don't want to put my money in here. I don't trust you." After the Great Depression, there was the run of the banks, and no one was getting any of the money out. And people just viewed banking institutions of all manners as crooked or insolvent, and so it became common practice in a great many banks to begin to put large gold bricks in the lobbies of their banks, so that people could like say, "Oh yeah, they have like a solid gold brick in their lobby. They're probably doing okay. I can put my money in here." It was a cheap, well, not really a cheap, because it was a solid gold brick, but it was a very materialistic way of sort of restoring faith back into the banking industry. And being a banker and wanting to do well and seeing that this is a trend, great-great-great-granddaddy Sasquatch, he went and he bought himself a gold brick. Found this guy, we don't know where. If we did know, I don't even know if we do. It's just bad. Anyway, so great-great-great-granddaddy Sasquatch goes out and he finds his gold brick. And he puts it in the lobby of his bank, and everyone's feeling restored and very, very happy. And they start making deposits in his bank again. And he spent the greater majority of his personal fortune on buying this gold brick, and even a part of the bank's money, because it's for the bank. Like, oh, okay, well, they have money, good. Basically, put himself in a very tight financial position, but not that big of a problem, because gold is money, right? And so he viewed that as the wise decision and put this, like, 8 by 4 by 3 foot, not foot, but square inch, 8 inches by 4 inches by 3 inches gold brick in the lobby of his bank. And it stayed there for several months, and the deposits were up and things were going well, and he was starting to recoup some of the losses, or the immediate monetary losses of buying this gold brick. That's not really a loss. It's gold, right? One day, the janitor was going over the gold brick with sort of a dust rag, and he's dusting it off, making sure and everything's good, and under the close, watchful eye of great-great-great-granddaddy Sasquatch and security guards and everything. Make sure that no one takes off that gold brick because it's a sizable investment and worth quite a bit of money. And as he's dusting it off, the janitor sort of peers at it, curious-like. Gets a little close, and everyone kind of eyes it a little bit, what are you doing? You're getting so close to the gold brick. Kind of reaches out his hand, and he kind of touches it a little bit, and everyone's like, is he about to take off with this thing? And so, great-great-great-granddaddy Sasquatch goes up to him and says, what are you doing? He goes, well, there's these circles on your brick. Circles? What do you mean? So, great-great-great-granddaddy Sasquatch gets down there and looks real close at that gold brick, and sure enough, there's these little tiny circles. If you hadn't been looking for them, you couldn't have hardly seen them. There's these little circles on the top of the brick, and there's no explanation for it. So he goes, whatever those could be. And so as he pokes it with his finger a little bit, and that one kind of moved a bit. Let's push it again. So there's again, kind of loose there. So he just kind of makes that scooping motion, with your finger when you're trying to pick something very flat up. Sure enough, it came right out. And, well, dang, if the gold didn't stop, not more than half a centimeter until it hit bronze. Just a big old lump of bronze right underneath that very thin golden veneer. Well, he quickly moved the gold back into place, and he's like, I'm going to find out what's going on here. So he runs to the phone and dials up the man who sold him that gold brick, and sure enough, we're sorry, sir, but that number is no longer in service. Huh. We're closing the bank today, everyone. Just guard it. I'll be back. He runs out, tracks down the place where he bought it from the man, and there's nobody there. So he walks back to the bank. Everyone's like, what's going on, dear old great-great-great-granddaddy Sasquatch? And he's like, well, let me show you. And so he gently moves aside one little golden flake and moves aside the other little golden flake. And they all look in there and they go, there's no gold in that thing. He goes, yep. So sure enough, they called in a jeweler and they peeled off the gold. And underneath it was a perfectly formed brass brick. And as great-great-great-granddaddy Sasquatch began to view his options, he realized there wasn't really any other option but to declare bankruptcy and close the bank. Sold the gold on the outside to try and recoup some of the investment, nowhere near as much as he spent. Lost his business, and many other bad things which happened to him. This is what you would expect when something of that monumental of a catastrophe were to happen. And, yeah. Turns out that was actually a fairly common practice in those days, as people figured out, hey, all these big banker types are buying gold bricks. Well, I can buy a full gold brick, melt it down, and then reform it in a thin layer around this other lesser metal that would probably weigh about the same, and there we go. Sell it to the rich old guy and make off like a bandit, a literal bandit, in fact. And sure enough, my great-great-great-granddaddy Sasquatch got himself in a heap of trouble about that. And so it was quite the family legend which has been passed down, and he is still referred to as sort of the black sheep of the family. Like I said, his father before him was a lawyer, and the father before him was a railroad man, and his son was a lawyer, and his son after him was a lawyer, and just kind of a very prestigious family with, like I said, just a few black sheep who made poor choices along the way. His condemning act, of course, being not getting a reputable source for his gold brick. We still have the brass brick as a family heirloom, one which will in time probably be passed on to me and the story along with it to my family generations in the future. But for now, it's just a brick, just a doorstop way up north in Michigan, and there it shall remain for, I'm sure, a good many years. But anyway, that's the gold brick story. Hope you have enjoyed. Hope you have found interesting the story of my family's past undoings, and hope you. Why am I saying about here? I'm the one who's talking. I don't even know. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed. If you did enjoy, like reading down below. It'd be very much appreciated. If not, please leave a dislike rating, a nasty comment, just disparaging my family and all its manners. And yes, I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.